Hey Simone, really lovely to see you today. Just a few notes and things to follow up on in terms of exercises to do at home. Um, Based on the testing we were doing today, it's sort of smacking as a sacroiliac joint issue. So remember we talked about the pelvis and we said, well, we've got the pubic bone here, or pubic symphysis, we've got the right and left pelvic halves, and then we've got the sacrum in the middle, and then we've got a joint where these two structures connect. And when we did those tests on that left side, right side, no problem, left side, quite restricted range of motion and kind of provoking a little bit of pain back in the sacrum when we did those tests. Now we've also got some muscle guarding going on. So we sort of want to try and uncover what exactly is going on. There's a little bit more testing to do, and we'll catch up for another session. So things to do at home. You're going to find a spiky ball or a tennis ball would be fine. Nothing too hard. Remember, we're trying to get the muscular structures to just down regulate a little bit where they've gone a real cranky into holding. So one of those structures is one of the back muscles down through here called quadratus lumborums. You know, we went up against the wall and we took the ball and we did a little bit of zigzag down the side. Always a good idea to check both sides just as a comparison. Now, when we did our stalk test, you know, that standing test that we did, even after just doing that lower back release down that left-hand side, actually the control through that left hip was improved. So that's a really good sign, pretty quick response. Then we want to take the same ball and we're going to lie down and put the ball underneath the back of the pelvis. And we're just going to do basically drop and slowly rotate. So we're not trying to shimmy around. You can, it's okay, have a bit of an explore, just movement exploration. But if you, I tend to find for most people, it's easier just to slowly move around. So you're sort of exploring. If you hit something that's a little bit cranky, where you're holding lots of tension, stop, drop your weight into it, relax as much as possible, try and let it go. Once it starts to ease a little bit, then you can move on. So you're not looking for zero, you're just looking for a reduction in intensity, you know, over time. And you're going to keep going until you're pretty much around almost on the side, right? Because some of these muscle fibers come out quite wide. And we want two tracks in the glute. One would be, here's the top of the bony pelvis, right? We're coming just below that point, so we're on the muscular structures, not on the bones. And we're just going to slowly track around about to here. And then we're going to come one ball diameter down and do the middle of the glute slowly around. You can have it explore lower, but most of these fibers go down onto the back of the femur bone, and they're not going to be kind of wrapped up in the kind of stuff that we are looking for. So two things to do with our ball, and then we had some exercises to do as well. So we talked about that gentle recruitment of the deep abdominal muscles, and that's one part of our inner core structure, and we'll have a look at those other three parts when I see you next time. So you're going to take a lie down. Remember, our inner core work in the transversus abdominis fibers is just that sense of easy breath in. As we exhale, we're gently drawing the tummy wall in. Now, if you're unsure whether you're working this muscle or not, because it's quite gentle, humming, whistling, these are natural patterns of activation for transversus abdominis. So if you're at all confused, you're just trying to get that deep abdominal activity going. And remember, we said, well, those muscles, as much as they are really gentle, they connect the two pelvic halves at the front, and so they add some what we call forced closure on the sacral joints at the back. So all we need to do, gentle breath out and find that deep abdominal activity. Now, we added rectus abdominis to that when we added our single knee float. So we said, find a nice neutral alignment for the lumbar spine. So we said, natural inward curve here, outward curve here, inward curve in the lumbar spine. We take a breath. As we exhale, we breathe out, we find those deep abdominals, and we press the back of the pelvis and the back of the rib cage gently down. We'll find rectus abdominis working, and then we float one leg up to 90-90. So that goes like this. Breath, center, pressure, float. Inhale at the top. Exhale, center, really think about pressing the back of the pelvis and the back of the ribs down, and then we float back down. And remember, we talked about that organization strategy, we're saying, well, we're not trying to grip or hold, right? We're not trying to really stiffen. We're just talking about motion control. So it's organization rather than bracing. We don't want to go into bracing. It's not useful from a movement standpoint. It's very useful for certain things, particularly, we talked about high load, short duration activities like I'm trying to lift a couch by myself. Maybe don't do that in the short term again. Not in the short term anyway. So find good organization. You're looking for motion control. And we said, well, when you lifted the right leg, we got this slight rotation pattern. So we've got to work that oblique diagonal a little bit more strongly. Okay, now there were another 2 exercises. One was what we call an oyster 2, and the other one is a prone double leg lift. So I'm going to say after you've done the single knee floats, I actually want you to go into the prone double leg lift. So this one, you're going to put your head on a towel and bring your fingertips underneath the front of the pelvis where the bony front of pelvis is. We want to be fairly even with the bony front of the pelvis. We're going to take a breath. As we exhale, the first thing we're going to do is just recruit those deep abdominal muscles. So we're just breathing out, gently drawing the tummy wall in, and then we add pressing the hips forward, which activates glutes. We're going to hold for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And you're going to do half a dozen like that, and then you're going to add the legs. So we go, exhale, gently draw the tummy wall in, press the hips down so we get glute activity, keep pressing, and activate the hamstring muscles, which will pull the legs off the ground. Now you will note that I'm not bending my lower back, and neither did you today. It's a down pressure to float the legs, not a lift. If you try and lift the legs, you are arching the lower back, and that's not going to get us what we want. Okay, now the other exercise we did is called an oyster 2. It's a side lying exercise. You're going to put your arm underneath your head. Now we want similar alignment to this. If I took my legs up, we had our one leg at 90-90. If we happen to bring the other leg up, that's the framework we want in our oyster 2, right? So we don't want to be in a big forward bend, right? So we're side lying, arm underneath head, legs together, hips at about 90 degrees. First, slide the hip away so we've got symmetry left and right hand side. We take a breath. As we exhale, we gently tone up through those deep abdominal muscles. So that's just that nice long out breath, gentle activity in the abdominal wall. And then we're going to float the leg up off the ground. Now I'm happy for you to go as high as you like. The shin bone stays parallel to the ground. There is a but. The front of hip muscles in through here and in the corner here, we do not want them working. You might need to do some little kind of relax kind of the leg to try and get rid of any muscle work out here. The muscles we are targeting are the muscles just back here. So if we find that bony leg bone and we come just behind it and just above that point, that's the zone we're looking for muscle work. And we're just going to go gliding down and gliding up, gliding down and gliding up. And we want 12 to 15 reps like this. Soft front of hip, muscle work in that side back of your hip, a little bit of activity in those deep abdominals, nice neutral lumbar curve. So that's it for the moment. We're going to add some things next time I see you. I want you to try and do those ideally a couple of times a day, sort of in the morning-ish and definitely in the evening. Now, if you hit something that hurts, just stop. If you hit something that, and you can text me and ask me a question, or we can bring it up next time I see you. If you hit something that you're using a spiky ball or the tennis ball, or any movement that you go, that doesn't feel quite right, I'm going to give you 3 repetitions to adjust it, and if it doesn't feel right, you're just going to stop. Now, so if you hit something and you're like, I'm feeling my lower back when I'm doing my prone double leg lifts, it doesn't feel quite right, I want you to use what we call the traffic light system. That means it's not quite right, that's an amber light. Don't just keep bowling ahead. We want to ask the question, if I do another repetition, does it feel less comfortable, or do I lose range of motion? In which case, today that's a red light, don't keep going. If you do the next repetition and it feels better, more comfortable, or you've got an increase in range of motion at the hip, for example, that's a green light for the moment you can keep going. So amber light is just like, I don't know what that is. That's a weird sensation. Do another rep or couple of reps and you're going to assess, does it feel crankier? In which case that's a stop, that's a red light. Does it feel better? In which case that's a green light, you're doing good stuff, you can keep going. I hope that's enough to go on. I look forward to seeing you next time.